So I went from struggling to get clients to having 3 lined up. Right now, the average price is $20,000. I work with a freelancer. She is an absolute beast. Not having to do the social media has been a huge weight off my mind. Honestly, just that has led to a better quality of life.
Hi everyone, we have Nadya here today. She's been a client of ours since August, I think. Now we're in February. Well, I think we officially started somewhere in September, if I'm not wrong, with the system.
I think I think the system launched at the beginning of October.
Beginning of October. Oh, okay, yes, that's more accurate. But yeah, well, I just wanted to record a quick interview with her, just to show you what her experience was working with us. Maybe she can share some knowledge as well that you might find helpful, being a ghostwriter. So yeah, first things first, I will let you introduce yourself, Nadia, just telling them what you do, how long you've been doing it for, and so on.
Hi, my name is Nadia. I am a ghostwriter and author. I've been ghostwriting since 2021. Done a couple of anthologies, a couple of books that never published, and one that topped the charts on Amazon at the same time that Michelle Obama and Prince Harry had their memoirs out. So pretty pleased with that. But finding clients was difficult at best. I was spending way too much time on social media, and that is not my forte at all. So when I think it was Alexandra reached out,
Yeah.
I don't normally respond to things like that, but it was just something about the message. I was like, you know what? I'm going to reply.
Well, and it seems like it turned out well. So congrats for taking the decision to respond to a random call DM. Okay, awesome. I guess what everyone is wondering about first things first is, how would you describe your overall experience working with us over the last couple of months?
Oh, amazing. Um, let's see here, where to start. For a start, I don't have to spend time on social media anymore. I work with a freelancer. She is an absolute beast. Where I would be sitting around overthinking it, she is just like hitting those DMs, responding. It's amazing. Um, going referral system before, I didn't have a lot of straight up to interviews, whereas now I'm getting a lot more interviews. The training that you have regarding that has been incredibly useful. Like, listen to the advice, listen to the videos. Sometimes it takes a few watches on the videos. I personally sat down with a pen and paper and took notes on all of the videos. I have them
That's the
in
best
a
way.
particular journal so that they're all organized. So during a call, I can always just flip through that notebook and go to the section I need if I need to refresh my memory on where to go next. Even in the objections, I think I read one bit off like word for word. And the client ended up deciding they wanted to write their own book, but it was enough to get them through that initial objection. And it was amazing how well it worked. It was like just plug and play, flip a switch. So having that at my fingertips has made a huge difference to just how much easier it is to run an interview, to conduct the interview, really. And sure, it took a little bit of time and practice. I think my very first client said yes on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, pretty nice.
Isn't a bad way to Not a bad way to ring in the new year.
Yeah, yeah. And just to clarify for everyone watching, what Nadia is referring to as interviews, she's not referring to as an interview for a job. It's actually sales calls for freelance projects. So I just wanted to clarify that because some people might use different
Yeah,
wording. Yeah.
fair. Yeah, they are sales calls, but they conduct, for me at least, feel more like an interview it's a conversation between two people and just, yeah. And I say interview because the way I was initially taught to run a sales call feels vastly different to this.
Got it. Yeah,
Those tended to be a lot more pushy, just the way you were taught. There was a level of desperation in them that just doesn't need to be there. Like just the way they were teaching you how to do it, it was very pushy. It was very in your face. It was not how I care to. So this is more like a conversation, more of an interview to be like, hi, who are you? This is who I am. And yeah, it runs a lot better. So I guess that's why I say interview in my head.
Yeah, no, they have a lot of names, definitely. People call them strategy sessions, discovery calls, implementation call, right? So it has a lot of different names, but the main purpose of that obviously is to get a client, right? So that's ultimately
Yep.
what we're trying to do there. Okay, so for you, mainly, besides the fact that you have that person that can do the social media part for you and get those calls in, also the help you received in terms of handling those calls that came through was very important. Um,
Hmm.
Awesome. Can you share with everyone a particular success story or major milestone that you've achieved by working with us?
Well, I have 3 clients who've signed on. They all have different start dates. I have one who's working right now, and then I have one more. They've all paid their initial the
Deposit?
yeah, the deposit. They've signed the contract. It's always fun when you forget that word that you use all the time.
Yeah.
And so I went from struggling to get clients to having 3 lined up, which is amazing. And then I've got a couple more who are interested, but they need to get their finances organized and they're not ready to make any sort of commitment, which is fair. We are set up, the system is in place for me to keep track of them,
Yeah.
for me to be able to easily check and be like, ah, yes, here's this person. I need to reach out now. Like it is so much easier. It is literally minutes a day to maintain the whole system. Quite a few people have just been impressed because of the automated system you've set up. Like that does half the work for me. By the time I jump on the call, they already feel like they know me to a certain degree. I've
Yeah.
had a few people comment and compliment the professionalism of the whole setup, which has done a lot to go and show my professionalism before we even hop on the call, which is fantastic. It's bona fides happen a little bit early.
Yeah. Saves a lot of time, builds credibility, and ultimately the job you have on that call is to identify if that person is a fit to be a client of yours, right? So instead of going through
Yep.
the general stuff that can be done before the call as homework, yeah, it's a system that we've heard work quite well, especially for ghostwriters. So I'm glad it does the same thing for you, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I recognized the system when I was signing on. I was like, wait a minute, everything that I have now is what was used to help introduce me to you and your system. And I was like, it's obviously working. It's working on me.
Yep, we practice what we preach, right? So the same thing we have in place, we give to our clients because we know it works. I mean, why would I give you
Hmm.
something different if I know it works for me, right?
Hmm.
Even though there's obviously slight changes in terms of the difference between us as an agency and people that are freelancers, then it's still pretty much the same core concept. Perfect. So 3 clients so far, and a couple more coming in the pipeline. That's amazing. Do you mind sharing just a range of what these clients, what you charge these clients? Of course, I know maybe if you want to keep pricing confidential, but just a range so people can see if they can
Yeah,
relate to the type of pricing you use for these deals.
sure. I mean, I am thinking that I'm going to have to raise my prices sooner than later just because they are,
Talk about
now that
that.
I'm getting better, they are more enthusiastic about it as I get better. Um, but right now, the average price for a book, and this includes a publishing package, I do have a small publishing house I collaborate with to get everything necessary done. So they have the full manuscript ready for them by the time we're finished, is 20,000. But a couple of my clients have different needs. One of the ones who is interested actually only wants about 20 to 30,000. So because her wish for a book is so much smaller than my usual, I lowered the price. I think I took her down to 14,000.
Mhm.
And then I have another one who has basically a first draft written. She just wants it to be a bit more of a story form. rather than a dry laying out the facts like she had it. So I'll basically just be doing a rewrite since she's already got the base manuscript. So for her, I think I charged 15, and all of them are going for the publishing package.
Okay.
Having that on hand has been really good. That kind of helps sells it, I think, because they're knowing that they don't have to find any of the people afterwards.
Yes, exactly. And that's if you are a ghostwriter and you're watching this, one piece of advice that I can give you that is clearly confirmed by Nadia here, and it has been confirmed from many of our clients, is it's way easier for people to say yes when they don't have the stress of, okay, so what now after they get the book finished, you know? So go network, find publishers, find cover designers, find marketing people, find people that you can partner with to deliver a full stack service to people that want a book.
Hmm.
It's going to be way easier when you're going to close those deals. So yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents, you know, for for this interview. Okay, so 3 clients so far, pricing between 14 to 20,000. We need to raise that soon. Before you joined us, right? I remember our initial conversation was right at the end of August, if I'm correct.
Hmm.
What were your thoughts before pulling the trigger? What were some of the hesitations you had, some fears, you know, that maybe other people have to overcome as well to uh,
Mm. Absolutely terrifying because it was easy to sit there and think, oh, I want to be a ghostwriter full time. But once you're actually confronted with the whole, this is a possibility, there's that a whole lot of fear there. Like, can I actually do it? There's also the part where I was working a normal full time job, which eh, doesn't really pay enough in this economy, in this part of the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
So scraping together the money for that, fortunately, like I was upfront about not always being able to pay right on the date of, but Dennis was flexible because I was honest about it rather than, you know, trying to hide that fact. And because of that flexibility, I was able to make my payments. It was a struggle, sure, but now that I have that additional income from the first client coming in, like it's life is so much easier now. And I can see myself doing this full time by the end of the year, which will give me not only a better income than I'd had, but more time to do other things. Because as I said, I am an author in my own right for fiction. And at the moment I am squeezing that into the little cracks in the day. So being able to have more time for that as well is just going to be amazing.
nice. So basically, more money, more flexibility, and also time to build your own book. Where can
Hmm.
people find your work as well as an author? Just, you know, maybe some people are going to be interested to see what you wrote so far.
So I write under a pen name, Nadya Sayer, mostly because I have very, very conservative family members and I decided to give them plausible deniability.
Got it.
So I do have a website, nadiasayer.com. You can find my ebooks and paperbacks through there. I don't ship anything directly, but I do cut out the middleman in there, or Amazon, anywhere you can find books online, they're available. So I have 3 out at the moment, and I am working to launch my 4th, which will be the first of a new series.
Nice, nice. So many more to come when you're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
finally do ghostwriting full time. Um,
yeah. Maybe I'll be able to turn out more than one a year.
yeah, for sure, for sure, and especially since you're gonna have time. I mean, you're not gonna have to do marketing. Um, uh,
Mm,
yeah. I'm curious also, like, just to kind of follow up on this thread right here. We have a lot of people that speak with us on those, you know, initial interviews, discovery sessions, whatever we want to call them. Um,
hmm.
that are freelancers, but they're also in a 9 to 5. And because you've been in the same position when you joined us, um, how did it feel for you to do this? Or like what were the benefits and how did it go for you specifically as someone that had a 9 to 5 and you were transitioning into doing freelancing more heavily than you were before?
It's been surprisingly smooth. I mean, it helps that at my 9 to 5, I could just tell the supervisor, like, hey, I need the day, and he doesn't care because
Okay.
He's my younger cousin. It's not family owned. It's not owned by us, but about half my family works there.
Ah, I see. Okay. So
And
you guys run the place, but it's not. Yeah.
yeah, we don't own it, but yeah, we run that side of it. So it's easier for me to go and say, hey, I need this day off because I need to sit down and get some writing done. If I conduct all my sales calls after work, which does get exhausting. It makes it harder to do client work. But making that transition, like I said, has been surprisingly easy for me. Um, and just the moment of not from the moment I had did not have to do my social media anymore, that was just like a huge weight. Life became more relaxing, even as it got more chaotic because I now am running interviews and writing and doing all of this stuff. Not having to do the social media has been a huge weight off my mind and has honestly just that has led to a better quality of life, as crazy as it sounds.
That's how much you hated doing that stuff, that part of the
That's
business?
how much I hated it. And as soon as I get my book side social media a little bit more organized, I'm handing that over to her as well. I'll run a training on her, pay her more. It is absolutely worth every penny.
Yeah, that's what I tell people all the time, Nadia. Like this, what we have here, if you look at it, like if you zoom out and you look at the basic principle, it's just delegating to someone else what you don't really like to do. It's putting yourself in the shoes of a small business owner rather than a freelancer that does everything. And
Hmm.
sometimes, as in your case, it's just better to pay with money than with time. Especially if you don't like doing that thing. Imagine if people could pay someone else to go to the gym and they would get the body. That would be
Oh,
amazing.
that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. I'd sign up for that as well. Okay, awesome. So, just to wrap things up here, I think this has been a super helpful interview for others as well. What would you say to someone that is considering joining us? Someone that is currently going through the same process you've been through, like they're on the resources page, they booked a call, they're looking through this stuff, thinking, who are these guys that reached out to me? And they're about to have their appointment with us.
Well, I'll be honest, I'd already decided to go for it even before. As long as you had a payment plan, I was already I was in, but on the call itself, I would just got terrified again. So if you've decided in a moment of clarity you want to go for it, but on the call you start hesitating, put aside that fear. It's perfectly reasonable, but it's only holding you back. If you really want this type of life, this type of job, you got to ditch the fear. You got to just jump or jump with the fear. But you can't, if it stops you now, what else will it stop you from doing? How long are you going to hold on to that fear and let it control your life?
Yeah, very true words here. And I know for a fact that if I remember correctly from our initial conversation, you've invested before, right? Before working with us,
Oh,
like you've
yeah.
had a couple of other programs. Um,
Oh, yeah.
so this wasn't the first time you jumped with fear, but I think the fact that you've been through this a couple of times, I'm not sure how the results were on that, but the fear built up, to the point where this
Mm,
is a harder decision than the others.
yeah. It was because I'd been burned before. I mean, part of it was seeing the system and knowing I was getting the system. The other ones were like, oh, here, let me sort of teach you how to use the system or create your own system. Base it on you, base it on to be authentically you. And I'm like, I don't need authentically me. I need it working. I can be authentically me somewhere else, but I need a system that works. And saying, hey, figure it out without any practical steps or, yeah, yeah, being burned did make it a little bit more difficult, but it also helped me recognize I like this system.
Yeah,
Having been on the other end of other sales calls helped me recognize this guy knows what he's talking about because you were firm, but you weren't using the fear thing. It wasn't an excessive pressuring tactics like I'd run across in the past. You weren't trying to use any FOMO tactics. And that was honestly very reassuring for me. Because I think at one point in the sales call, I was like, oh, damn, you're good. And you were like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, for everyone watching, this is your double reassurance that this is not going to be one of those car salesman pressuring sales calls. It's just going to be an honest
Hmm.
conversation. We are going to get
Hmm.
into here if that's needed for us to discuss about it. But at the end of the day, the decision is in your hands. The red button is right there if you want to hang up. Nobody's stopping you. We're not face to face. So yeah, that was very helpful. Because there's a lot of people that have been burned before. They spent thousands and thousands of dollars on other things, and I can understand it
Hmm.
because I've been there myself. I've been burned myself by others and not getting what I paid for. And as you said, that's an experience that one, it will increase your friction when it comes to doing something else, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad. But I think if you want to be a smart person, you need to use what you've learned from the bad experiences to recognize if this is a good type of jumping the leap or a bad type of jumping the leap, if that makes sense. But
Yep.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, appreciate your words, Nadia. This has been super helpful. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about Nadia's books or you want to get into that stuff, you know where to find her. You can also find her on LinkedIn. And
Yep.
yeah, that's pretty much it.